Good afternoon, potato chips. How you doing? It's wee Paddy from across a shuck, and I'm very happy to be with you for this Sunday Chats with Paddy. And now this is going to be somewhat different. But first of all, as usual, there's a first of all. I'd just like to thank everybody who took part in the topic that I brought up last Sunday. I know it's a bit controversial for some people, but I would just like to thank you as my subs for participating in an argument without foul language, without slander, without and we had some great back and forth. One of my best and most favourite channels on YouTube. Um, just we had a right ding dong about what was right, what was wrong. And do you want to know something? We left them friends. We make sure we were cleared up at the end, and we left. And that was Knife Chats with Tobias. So I thank him, but I also thank everybody else who took part, shared their point of view. Do you know, it's one of them things where I don't think there's a right and wrong of where you buy knives or who you buy them from. You buy them, it's your money. If you can cope with the guilt, buy it. But just wanted to say a big thank you. And that's what I want about Sunday Knife Chats. I want it to be that take part if you really, really disagree. Really, really disagree. I don't want to stop people showing their disdain, or if you don't like something, tell me you don't like it. I'll not fall out with you as long as you don't call me a name. Well, you can call me fat lad, that'll not bother me. But I just think that was fantastic. So thank you. I'll stop there. Right, what am I going to talk about this week? What I'm going to talk about this week is, can you give a memory to a knife? Can you give a feeling of where you can make a knife remind you of something? Now, I know you can if somebody gives you a knife, but can you make that memory yourself? And that's what I'm going to try and do over this next year. Well, probably not a whole year, because I've done so well recently. I seem to have got them. I'm going to start off with this one. As you all know, when my father passed away, he wasn't a knife person. Look, he had the odd wee tiny pen knife, and he used knives that were working knives that were just anything you get with a sharpened edge to cut things. So he wasn't a knife person at all. And the thought of me buying a £300 pocket knife in memory of him, I can look. When your dad passes, such a sad and hard time. I found it incredibly difficult when mine passed, but I can see his face sitting in the chair looking over at me, and I can just see his head starting to shake. And then I'm saying something very profound like, "You flippin' numpty." And that's what he probably would have said, or words to them effect. But that's great. Look, when I bought this knife, I wanted to be a good memory of my dad. The last memory he had Alzheimer's, so it wasn't a good memory. Um, so I wanted this, when I lifted this up, it would make me smile. And do you want to know, from the day I've bought it, it has made me smile. When I think of him and I think of this knife, because I know what he would have said. So that was really important. And for years, I've ticked along for years now. I haven't thought of anything else. And then last week, I was sitting thinking, well, why don't I do this for other people in my family? And I want to make up a storyboard for my children, when they can look back and say, well, look, this is what my granddad done. This is what he done. And I've got my father, but I went out last week and I got something from my grandfather that would remind me of him. As you know, look, I love little small fixed blades, because I don't get the chance to use them much. But I love these little small fixed blades. They're great with EDC knives, even if it's just about the house. But down the caravan, I can use them. But I thought, I want one from a grandfather. And a bit of a backstory is, my grandfather was Scottish, came from Glasgow, and came over here just before the war to Northern Ireland and settled over here. So I wanted something that would remind me of him. He was a very straight, upstanding, always had a suit and tie on with a starched collars, stood bolt upright, bald head and glasses. I just remember him and he used to walk me down to the shop, and I used to think I was going down to the shop with this big. Now, he wasn't particularly big as in stature, but height-wise, and but he just stood so tall that I felt it was going down to the shop with a sergeant major. I wouldn't have had fear if King Kong had come round the corner. That's the sort of security I got from my grandfather. And that's a lovely memory to have. So I decided, what am I going to get that would remind me of my grandfather. And what I eventually plan to do is get a nice box, glass box, and put it up on the wall and put little plaques below each knife and who they were for and why I got them. And to have that as something that my son can come, when I pop my clogs, the big wooden overcoat goes on, he can come and say, oh, I'm having that, that's for me. And he can put it up on his wall. It's a bit of decoration and whatever. So that's my thought process. Again, down below, tell me what you think of it. Is it a silly thing to do? Well, it's not silly because it's something I want to do. But would you consider doing something like that? I just want to make something that is just me. And my kids all know I love knives. They don't. Well, anyway, what I done was I'd been watching Ashley Harrison. I follow him constantly. He's a UK knife maker for those of you outside the UK and inside who don't know. And I have got about 5 of his knives, a couple of his customs. I just love his work. I just really do love it. And the family and his, him and his dad work together. They own a company. He works, him and his dad both make knives. They're both just knife makers. So I'd seen one of these and I thought, there's the very thing. I'd literally been thinking about it and I'd seen this up on the channel and I said, Ashley, have you got any more of them? And he says, well, look, I've one blank here. I could put a handle on it for you. What do you want to handle? So we had this back and forth conversation and he made this for me. It was the end of a batch he was making for other people. And this is what it is. Now, that's a bit different. This is a skein do. And it comes with this wee leather sheath. The leather sheath is nothing much to talk about. It's just a wee leather sheath that covers the blade. And he actually leaves it for you to make. If you want something better, go ahead and get it made or whatever you want. And this is a little knife, for those of you maybe don't know, that a Scottish man in his kilt, or a Gaelic man, because indeed the Irish and the Welsh, I'm not sure about the Welsh, but I know the Irish, when they're wearing a kilt, they have a wee knife in their sock. And that's what a skein do was. And it wasn't just a stabby, attacky knife. They would have used this for cutting up their food. They would have used it for any task, cutting anything. But it was also a weapon you could have pulled out if you were in a bad brawl somewhere. So that is for my grandfather. And I'll show you the skein do that I got of Ashley. This wee, it's so tight, that wee sheath. It's great. I love it. I'll not change it because it was the knife that I wanted. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? A little skein do, the way they used to make it. He has done file work on the top of it. But look at this handle. Is that not beautiful? Now, you'll notice the handle is flat along this side for going up against your leg. There's your leg and it'll lie flat up against your leg rather than having the other, the chamfered side, the sculpted side facing out the ways. But wouldn't you be proud of that coming out of the top of your sock? That is gorgeous. And it comes sharp. It's perfectly... Oh, sugar. There's me wee cigarette thing going. Comes sharp. Absolutely. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you that under the camera. Comes sharp. Oh. It comes sharp. Absolutely razor sharp out of the box. Lovely little knife. Really is. So... let me just put this back up here again. Oh, come on. Anyway, there you go. Right. So this is what I've got from my grandfather. So I've got 2 knives now from a box. And I want to get somewhere between 4 and 5. So I'm going to pick different, parts of my life and my family. The last knife that will go in it will be my favourite knife when I pop my clogs. And I'll leave a wee note saying this is to go in the case. And that's what I'm going to do and it's got to be the last knife that was my favourite. So I have a favourite now. It's my GEC. You've seen it before. It's the 2 Acorn Barlow. Is my favourite knife at the moment. But heavens above, that could change very quickly. Especially in it could be a custom. It could be anything by then. Probably one of Ashley Harrison's customs, to be honest with you. But I just think this is done, and I can't tell you how smooth and tactile this is. It fits in your hand. You can see the way it sort of turns over. It fits in your hand. Absolutely amazing. You would have no problem doing pokey stabby things with it. Pig poker again. But this is just beautiful. A lovely stainless steel. I haven't even a clue what it is because it doesn't matter what it is. This is like a ceremonial dagger. But it cuts it sharp. It comes a lovely edge. Beautiful mirror polish. Beautiful. If you can see that up on top there where he's done the file work. I just think it's beautiful. I'll give you a close-up of that. Just look at the grain. This is olive wood that I decided on. He does it in whatever woods he's got at the time. Ashley will let you know what he's got. But he's open to making some of these. Now, I don't know what the waiting time is. That's not my job. That's Ashley's. But I did say I was going to put it in the channel. You're not going to believe what Ashley makes this for, which is the nicest part of this. Now, I'll post anywhere in the world. So, I mean, you'll have to pay postage wherever you are if that's what you want, at a ski and do made by a Sheffield custom maker. And that's what you're buying for, that history. Him and his father, knife makers. So a ski and do is an old Scottish. I'm going to do a full review on this where I tell you the history of it. But today I'm just going to tell you what I bought it for. So this is to remind me of my grandfather. And that's what it'll go up in the box. Now, they say things come in strange. Look, this all started off as a wee thought process. I already had this one, and I loved what it done for me. Then this one just happened to be, I was watching Instagram, as I do all the time for Ashley, because I'm always saying, have you got a spare one? Are you going to sell that one? Because that's how you get knives and don't have to get on a waiting list. So I got this, and I'm over the moon with that. I can't wait to do the full review and tell, for those of us maybe who don't know much about the ski and do as a knife, to give a wee bit of history. But last week I was speaking to Mike's Knives, .co.uk. You know Mike, I've used him. He's the GEC dealer for the UK. And I was on talking to him about something, don't know what it was. And I asked him, do you have any old, because Mike, this is the thing that people don't seem to have remembered about Mike's Knives. He's not only GEC, Mike has a wide variety of knives down there in Cornwall, an absolute wide variety, old, new, all sorts. So always ask him, if you're looking for something, and ask Mike to look for you. He'll get things for you. You know, if he sees one, I think, there we go, I have somebody for that. But he collects a wide range of knives. I said, you wouldn't have a knife with a tang stamp that has got 1989. I want a knife from 1989 that stamped it, because there's a reason. And that reason is another big thing that's going to be part of my 5 knives. This is what he had. I just sold my GEC model of this. It's too big and I wasn't using it, but he had this with a tang stamp on it, and I love it. I think it's Cocobolo. It's the Remington, a proper old Remington, American-made bullet knife, and I absolutely love it. The centering, the main blade's just a little bit off. It's not touching, and there's no markings, which I'll show you when I get it open. There you go. There's no markings on it. The blade is in perfect shape. Perfect shape. No markings, as you can see. So I don't care that it's a bit off-centered. That's what happens. But this is from 1989, so it's a fair age. You know, it's 30-odd-year-old. Look how tight that back spring is on them 2 big blades. Beautiful. But the important thing was, is this on this? Yeah, no, let me just see. No, it's on the other blade. So you've got, it's a big trapper, basically. So here's what am I doing? I double turned it, did I? Yes, I did. There we go. There's the big, and there's not a cracking spay blade. And you have Remington trademark on that, beautifully etched in there, really nice. This knife hasn't been used, I don't think, much at all, if at any. It just hasn't, and I love that big silver bullet on there, and the nickel silver pins as well. It's just a gorgeous big knife. Proper work knife. Look at that in your hand. It's a little bit smaller than what the GEC was, and I'm quite glad about that. And this other blade is so low down, I don't feel that. But this is a great camp knife, and you can use this for your steak and cutting up your vegetables. Great little work knife. And the other one can be used for more tasks around your camp. So you can have 2 separate knives. That was the joy of the trapper. But also, if you want to do a wee bit of skinning, if you catch a rabbit or whatever, a wee tree rat, a squirrel, great little knife for skinning it. Absolutely beautiful. Lovely thin stock. They're not over thick behind the edge, but they come down to a reasonably sharp, well, it's a blooming good sharp edge compared to most other knives. You know, it's a traditional knife with a thin blade. 1095 carbon on these, just got, I think that's what's on them. You know, I haven't even checked. But I wanted to read up about this knife itself and give again a full description on the knife. But the bit that does it for me, and I'm going to bring this really chappy out here, There you go, on the time stamp. Can you see that? Let me just get that right. There you go, 1989. Isn't that just cracking? And why is that year familiar, Paddy? I hear you saying. Well, that was a year this drunken bum got sober, and I've been one day at a time sober ever since. Coming on next month, another couple of months, it'll be 33 years. And that date is so special to me, not because I'm anything special, not because of any other reason than just for me, that date is very special because my life changed. And it's not always been for the better, let me tell you that. Just because you're sober doesn't mean everything's great. And I don't want congratulations for being sober because that's a personal thing. But to get sober, I had to wreck lives of a family that I had. You know what I mean? I wrecked children. Well, I damaged children's lives, and anybody who was around me, family. It took me a long time to gain trust, and I still haven't gained trust with some. But to me, it's very important because I've remembered everything from 1989. For 10 years before that, my memory is shot. I can tell you that now. It is shot. Um, but that was a really important day for me. And it's another, because my children all know that most of the children weren't even born when I got sober, which is lovely. I was 30-year-old when I got sober. So, it's 33 years. I'm 63 now. It's been a long time, but it's been a very worthwhile time. And so that's why that one's going to be special. God, I was getting a bit sentimental in the head there. So there you go. That's the three I've got so far. I want another one, and I sort of know what the other one. Well, no, I'm not even going to say it. As I get the fourth one, I'll find a date for it, or I'll find a reason for it. And then the last one, as you know, will be 5 in a box, and I want to get that box made, and I'll before time and have it up behind me up here, and I'll show you once I get that. It'll probably be, I don't know, the end of the year whenever I get the other knife. I would love to get. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the one I would love to get. When I got married to Sally, this is both of our second marriages, so it was the year 2000, and I really would love a knife. With the year 2000 on it, but it has to be a knife that was made in the year 2000. I don't know whether a case or any of the old American brand, the older American brands. I don't think there's any in the UK that actually stamps the date on them. But if anybody's out there and can help me with a 2000, something that's got the year 2000, I don't want a brand new knife. It does not have to be, because it's for me, it's going to be for my marriage. My marriage was a second marriage, so I don't want a new knife, but I want a knife, whether it's been used, as long as it's in good condition. If you see one with the year 2000, give me a shout and I'll send you the money to buy it for me if it's the sort of knife that I want. And I don't know what I want, so anything is better than nothing. But I hope you think that's an interesting topic, and I would love to know what your thoughts on that topic are. There they are. They've started. My dad, my grandfather. That's the year I got sober. I'll have one for my marriage to Sally. I'd like to celebrate that in a knife form. And then the last one will be my favourite knife on a box that's up on a wall. There you go, wee Paddy's away. That's a quick one for Sunday. Sundays are just going to be different every week. There's no rhyme nor reason to what comes into my head. All right, folks, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.